Here we go. Welcome back to the John Curley Show. Don't forget a know-it-all quiz. We going to do that today? No? Joe? Yes? No?
No, you're leaving early.
Oh, sugar. Okay, never mind. Tune in next week. Whoopsie. Should have asked you before you came on the air. The show has kind of a catch-as-catch-can feel to it, you know. This mountain sits
Freeform.
You're not here yet. We're going to start all over.
Podcast, right?
Andrew, we're going to start all over.
When we do podcasts,
We're starting all over.
Takes me 3 or 4 hours to record. Takes me 2 hours to a 5-minute segment.
Count us down, Andrew. Welcome back over the John Curley Show. This mountain sits 70 miles northeast of Portland. It's 12,000 feet. It is the largest one of the peaks there in the Cascades, and Feliks Banel comes by to say, "Oh boy, look out, huh? Oh no, hey,
It's actually the second highest, but it's the largest by volume. Mount Adams.
Okay,
Isn't
thanks
that
for
crazy?
coming by.
Will that be on the know-it-all quiz later today? Oh, that's right, I forgot. Sorry to bring that up.
Should I just play your story and then not have you talk?
Is this going out live?
God, I hope not.
There's no story to play. We're just going to talk, aren't we? Just like we always do, just kind of, chew the fat, what they say, Cracker Barrel stuff.
So, Holly Racine Weiss.
Weiss Racine. I have her name incorrect there in the information I provided you. Yeah, let's play this long cut to give us some time to catch our breath. Okay, so Holly Weiss Racine is the outreach coordinator and geologist for the Cascades Volcano Observatory, and she says last month, there were 6 earthquakes in September out at Mount Adams. Normally, there's one earthquake like this. They're pretty small. Every 2 to 3 years,
right.
There were 6 in 1 month.
There's a couple things that would let us know if one of the volcanoes was really waking back up again. So we watch for deformation. If magma was moving up inside the volcano, it would start to inflate, and we can track that with GPS and satellites. You would also see an increase of gases because as that magma moves up, it's got trapped gases, and those gases will start to escape. We'll see a much more significant increase in earthquakes than we're seeing right now because as magma forces its way up inside rock, it's doing a lot of fracturing, it's breaking that, and so we'll see a lot more earthquakes as it's moving. So there's many parameters that we're watching for all the time, and usually it takes multiple parameters doing something unusual to signify that there's a change in the activity or the status of the volcano.
Okay, what everybody wants to know, is this thing going to blow?
It's too early to tell, but they are. Okay. But no,
Why are
listen,
you here?
Because part of history is thinking about the future. I just made that up, by the way. Because I'm old enough to remember back in 1975 when they thought Mount Baker was going to erupt. They shut down the whole national forest. My family couldn't camp there. We were heartbroken. But then, a year later, they opened it up again because it's not going to erupt.
Right.
And 5 years after that, certainly Mount St. Helens quickly emerges as a hazard and blows up in May of 1980. So volcanoes are a fact of life around here. And you look back at 19th century history, they talk about when the early settlers and natives were seeing Mount St. Helens belching smoke in the 1840s and stuff. So this could be the very first sign of a bunch of big activity at Mount Adams, which, have you ever been to Mount Adams?
Yes, I have.
Oh, you have? Okay. Okay, well, I'm not going to ask you. Cut this part out. But Mount Adams, to me, it's relatively obscure. It's not Mount Rainier. It's not highly visible from the city. When Captain Vancouver came sailing up the coast in 1792, he named Mount St. Helens. Mm-hmm. His lieutenant named Mount Hood. He named Mount Rainier. He didn't name Mount Adams because he couldn't see it.
Okay.
Because it's the same latitude as Mount St. Helens, kind of hides behind Mount St. Helens. So the best view of it is in Oregon. If you're coming down the hill off of Mount Hood, down toward Hood River, there's this gorgeous view of it. And so there's not a lot of population centers around it. It's relatively it's pretty rural, wilderness out there. So this could be the earliest inclination of them actually something happening there. They only have one monitoring station there at the volcano, but they're quickly rushing into place. They put a new one in, I think, 2 days ago. And by the end of next week, they're going to have 2 more to have a total of 4 stations and get a better picture of how deep these earthquakes are, how frequent they are, if there's other stuff they're missing, and if they need to bring in this other kind of equipment to keep the eye out for what could be the next big volcanic disaster in Washington.
So you mentioned Mount St. Helens, 1980, the people that died there, the first one.
57 people, yeah.
57. Harry Truman, who lived at the base of Mount St. Helens. And they kept telling him to leave, and he's like, where am I going to go? I got these cats. This is my home. I don't care.
If I left, I'd die in a week. Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah.
And then he was covered in how many feet?
Oh, hundreds of feet, probably. Yeah. He fortunately, he probably died pretty quickly. But yeah, what a crazy legend that was.
So in this case, if Mount Adams does blow, we're not looking at major interruptions of people's lives, and it's not going to be washing out a whole bunch of giant roadways.
Well, it can send lahars down the river, and when it's erupted in the past, the last time it erupted, they think, was 3,800 years ago. It's a different kind of eruption than Mount St. Helens. It's not as violent and destructive. It's more of building. It's more like it just adds more material. That's why it is the largest volcano in terms of volume of any other Cascade volcano in Washington.
So I thought you're coming in here to warn us.
It's a distant warning. I'm a historian. I know that 3,800 years ago, if you listen to this show 3,800 years ago, they would have been talking about how Mount Adams was having an eruption, but it was a building eruption. It wasn't like Mount St. Helens.
Why do we have a historian coming in talking about something that's going to happen in the future, may or may not happen in the future?
Because we learn about the future by talking about the past. I just made that part up too. But we don't know much about 3,800 years ago, other than the fact that there's this geologic record.
Let's get to something we know that exploded. All right?
Okay.
So I'm going to put Andrew on trial on this, because Andrew had a salad that he got, and then he left it here.
Oh, man.
And then we're going to have him...
This is a family show. If you have kids in the car...
No. Here's what happens here at KIRO. This is like a food desert, right? People talk about that all the time. You can't get any food. So somebody will leave some food somewhere on the table, and then like a herd of hyenas or something. They say a hyena can take a wildebeest and strip it all the way down to the bone in less than 3 minutes, right? That's very similar to this sort of thing. So for some reason, Andrew figures, I'm going to bring in an old salad.
It was not old.
Vintage salad.
It is not old. It was fresh from that day.
Fine
it was
wine.
Not old.
You had a
fresh from what day?
The day that it was out there, the Tuesday. This Tuesday.
Okay, so you got it in the morning? Why?
Yeah.
You got a salad in the morning, which is odd. Okay.
I think he had it sitting on a steam radiator somewhere.
I was doing a board op training thing with a bunch of board ops, and they brought a lot of salad for some reason. I don't know why. And it didn't really get touched. And then I brought it down because I didn't want all this salad. So I left it for the newsroom, and the newsroom ate it all up.
Yeah, and I had probably half of the salad that came down, 2 huge bowls of it, and I was starving. I was here all day. I usually work from home, but I was here all day Tuesday because I was doing interviews with KSL about the podcast, interviews with the station in Phoenix and stuff. I didn't have time. I looked out there. I see Andrew walking through with a bunch of sandwiches, which weren't for me.
Okay, we didn't have to talk about sandwiches.
Those were going to somebody else. But the salad was left. There was like the discard. Oh, good salad. And it had that like kind of mixed greens, like spring mix, probably arugula, and I don't know. But there was blue cheese in it, which tasted. How can you tell if blue cheese has gone off? So anyway, I ate a massive portion, 2 massive helpings of the salad, and about 24 hours later, I had deep regret.
Much like Mount
and lost a full day of my life.
3,800 years ago.
Exactly. Yes, it was a building eruption, for sure.
You laid on the.
It was like a lahar. I did. I laid on the floor. I used my bathrobe as like a pad on the cold bathroom floor and fell asleep because I didn't want to risk anything else happening. So. I mean, that's what African radio's come to. That's right. If Jim French could hear this now.
If Harry Truman were anywhere nearby with his cats, would they have been all right?
He'd be playing his player piano and stirring up scotch, and it was no, I lost about 36 hours of my life this week thanks to Andrew's salad. So anyway, at least I didn't go hungry.
I'm glad you're okay.
And do you feel bad?
I want to ask everybody else in the newsroom and see if they also got
I think
sick.
we do need to do
We need to, authenticate this.
Let's play this last cut from Holly Weiss-Racine because she says there's no cause for alarm in the communities around Mount Adams.
So it's just 6 earthquakes. It's really not something that is concerning right now. It's definitely something that's just more interesting. And a great takeaway from it is it's a great communication experience. It's an opportunity to connect with the emergency managers in the area and to really build and develop those relationships. And so it's been a great opportunity to just get in touch with all of our local partners.
So you'll thank me someday for bringing this to your attention so much earlier than any other news outlet here in the Western Hemisphere.
So at this point, Mount Adams not likely to erupt. You did erupt for 36 hours because you ate soggy, gross salad that Andrew had been dragging around.
I should have known better. I really should have known better. I should have packed like a snack bar with me. Or that early Tuesday morning, I should have said, I'll grab a couple of these granola bars.
First of all,
be tempted
he's
by that
training a bunch
food.
of board ops. And for some strange reason, these people decide to bring in salad.
They're probably using their hands to serve it, too, probably. That's probably what happened. I had a whole other part of the segment prepared about how Mount Adams was named, but I will save that for another 3,800 years from now.
Oh, that's a tease.
I don't know why you're coming in here. I still don't get it. I look down on the sheet. I'm like, what is he coming in for?
We're providing a service. This is news you can use, entertainment you can think about.
One more thing about history. It's his story.
Yeah, the last 5 letters of history are what?
Story.
And what are the first 2 letters?
H-I.
So what are you doing? You're saying what to a what?
Hi, story.
See? That's all it is. Nothing to be afraid of.